Hey, hi all, welcome to the channel. Hope you all are doing good. So today we'll talk about schema and users in database. So basically we'll see what exactly is schema. Okay, then we'll see how we can create user and assign password to user, and finally how we can drop a user from database. So let's start this particular video, but before that I would like to say thanks to all our viewers who are continuously providing their support to us. So your support means a lot to us and that help us in creating more such contents and videos. So let's talk about what exactly is schema in Oracle. Okay. So basically schema is a logical structure that basically holds a collection of database objects such as tables, views, indexes, etc. Each and every schema is associated with one database users. Okay. Typically or normally schema name and username both are same. Okay. So basically when we create a user, by default schema also gets created. Okay. So if we look at the architecture of this particular thing, okay. So in this particular architecture, schema basically holds all the database objects like tables, views, indexes, synonym, etc. Okay. And user account basically owns those objects. Okay. So in a nutshell, users basically own schemas. So actually a user is an account that allows a person or application to connect to the database. Okay, whereas schema is collection of database objects owned by a specific user. Now let's try to understand the difference between schema and user in a simple way. Okay, so let's take an example of book library. Okay, so let's say we do have one book library. Okay, and this particular book library is having multiple sections like fictions and non-fictions. Okay, and we have one person, okay, who is basically library card holder, okay, and who has got access to fictions book. Okay, so it means he or she actually owns fictions section. Okay, so in this particular example, library, it's basically a database. Okay, fictions, non-fictions, they are different sections. We can say it's a schemas, altogether different schemas. Okay, and library card holder, it's basically a user. Okay, so let's summarize it. So user basically a library card holder who can borrows book and manage own account. Okay, then schema, it's basically sections in the library like fictions and non-fictions. Okay, which can hold multiple books or different books related to different categories. Then database, so it's basically collection of books, basically the library. Okay, hope it would have given you some clear picture about these two terms. Now let's move to the next section. So creating user. Okay, so how we can create user in a database. Okay, so basically the syntax is create user, then we'll have to specify username, then identified by password. So this is basically a syntax of creating user from SQL prompt. Okay, let's look at the example. So create user C ## user identified by trng@123. Okay, so in this particular example, we are creating user C ## user1. Okay, and password of this particular user is trng@123. Okay, so remember one thing, in a multi-tenant architecture, okay, an Oracle version after 12c will have to create common users having prefix C ##. Okay, without this, system will not allow us to create common users. Prior to 12c, we can give any sort of username that will be accepted by system, but after 12c version, okay, we'll have to provide this C # prefix. Okay. Now let's see how we can alter user account. Okay, so syntax for the same is alter user username. Okay, and then option. Okay, so some options are like alter user username identified by password. We can reset the password using this particular command. Okay, then we have alter user username account lock. we can lock one particular account using this particular option. Okay, similarly we can unlock it if we replace it lock with unlock. Okay, and then another option is alter user username default table space name. Okay, so we can assign default table space to one particular user. Okay, let's look at some examples. So alter user C hashes user account lock. So here basically we are locking the account of user C hashes user. Okay, show and drop user. Okay, so show user, it's a command, okay, which basically shows currently logged in user. Okay, so that's the example, show user. You will have to simply type show user and it will display the currently logged in username. Okay, and in order to drop a user, we do have command drop user, username and cascade. So this cascade is basically an optional thing. Okay, example is drop user C hashes training. Okay, so it will drop user C hashes training from the database. Okay, now what this cascade means. Okay, so basically cascade option is used to drop the user and all objects, those are basically owned by that particular user. Okay, it will not provide this particular option if one particular object is owned by respective user, then system will not allow us to delete that particular user. Okay, so using this we can drop an user as well as objects owned by that particular user. Okay, so let's create one user. Okay, so I'll type create user, username I am giving C hash user2. Okay, identified by password. Okay, I am giving admin here as a password. Okay, so user is created. Okay, now I'll grant DBA role to this particular user. Okay, so grant DBA to C hash user2. Okay, so grant succeeded. Okay, just one thing, for role and privileges I have already created separate video. If you want to know more about it, please go through that particular video. That will give you more insight information related to role and privileges. I'll provide link in the description box. Okay, now let's try to connect to this particular user. Connect C hash user2 slash password, that is admin. Okay, so we are successfully connected to newly created user. Okay, we'll just cross validate it by typing command show user. Okay, so it's showing our newly created username. Okay, now let's try to drop this particular user. Okay, so drop user C hash user2. Okay, so we are currently logged in with this particular user account. Okay, so for dropping, we'll have to first disconnect from this particular account. Okay, so I'll again connect it back to the other user, that is system slash admin. Okay, so we are connected to system user. Now we should be able to drop it. Let's type command drop user username, that is C hash user2. Okay, so it has successfully dropped the newly created user. Okay, so we'll stop here. Hope you would have liked this particular video. Please like, subscribe and share this video. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Thank you. Keep watching.